Well guys, this is a familiar scene. You've seen this view in a few of my videos now, but today we are going to do the pre-pantry challenge pantry tour. And not only are we going to tour our homemade canned items, but we're going to go through the store-bought, and I'm even going to show you in the fridge. I know, pretty bold, right? So we're going to whip through this really quite quickly because this is really just a way for me to document, even for my own use, just what we had in the pantry at the beginning, so that when the pantry challenge wraps up, we can do a tour at the end and do a comparison, because I've not done that before, and I think it'll be kind of fun to really see where we've diminished things and where we've managed to replenish stuff and how it all is going to come out in the end. Well, like I said, you guys have seen this section before. We're going to go through it really quite quickly. Up on top, jams and jellies. Still pretty well stocked, but it is depleting quickly as we use it for yogurts and things. So hopefully we can take some of that frozen fruit from the freezer that you've seen throughout my freezer challenges and make some more to replenish that over the pantry challenge without buying anything, of course. So our second shelf, we've got a few more of the fruit sauces, but mainly we've got our beans, pizza sauce, tomato cocktail. Beans is a big one. We go through a lot of beans, hence why we have 15 jars of mixed beans. And I also have 15 jars, I think I might actually have 20 jars of kidney beans. They're just not all on the shelf. They're in a box below. What else have we got here? Pasta sauces, which we don't go through too much anymore. Enchilada sauce, really salsa. Salsa is another big one that we go through. August stew is another huge one. I actually have enough stuff in the freezer to make this recipe one more time and do another 12 jars. But I'm holding off because I'd like to get through a bit more yet. So we have the 10 jars that we've got on the shelf here, but I do have 2 boxes of 12 down below. So I'm not too nervous about it because we still have about 34, 35 jars. So we still have a lot of August stew, but I am stocked up and ready to make more when we need to. Our middle shelf here, we've got relishes, soup, another kind of soup. What do we got? Minestrone. We've got lemony basil soup, some chicken / rabbit a la king. It's kind of a mixture. But mainly from there down, all we have are soups and stews and juices and tomato products. We have a lot of stuff here, but like I mentioned, Chris and I we eat one of these quart jars every day for lunch. So it goes pretty quick when you start consuming it. The other side of this rack, again, lots of sauces. We do specialize in tomato products. A big one, butter chicken curry. We actually are making that in our freezer challenge video, and we're going to have a recipe video for that coming very shortly, but that's something that's being replenished. So we do have a few gaps here. That's okay. We're going to try and come up with some recipes and things to fill these with new products over the pantry challenge. Barbecue sauce, ketchup, our canned meat, which we actually just did some more of that, Italian zucchini stew, and plain tomato juice, which actually we're going through that quite quickly this year, using it to make stews and soups and stuff. But that's okay because that actually is from 2021. So it needs to be used anyways, which is great. This whole next shelf here, almost all of it is applesauce. Mixed berry applesauce, cinnamon applesauce, plain applesauce, raspberry applesauce. We went through making so much applesauce in 21 and 22 that we just haven't gotten through yet. I didn't make any applesauce this year for 2023, but we still have all these jars here plus 4 boxes of 12 down below. So that's another 48. So I haven't actually counted these, but I'm pretty sure there's still 120 jars of applesauce. And then this kind of final shelf before we get to our Overstock is mostly soups and stews. We've got Summer's Best Vegetable Soup and also our Southwest Vegetable Soup. Both of these are a favorite, as well as the lamb stew. Really everything on this shelf is a favorite. Polly's Moroccan stew, the chicken barley soup. This is definitely our most used shelf. We cycle through this stuff very, very quickly. So you can expect to see some recipe videos coming out for some of these soups and stews throughout the pantry challenge, because we are planning to be restocking this right along with using it. So here you can see we've got all of our applesauce, pizza sauce, marinara sauce. There's Italian zucchini stew, more beans, more salsa, curry, tomato juice, all sorts of stuff in our Overstock areas, and I just move those to the top as I need them. But like I said, we're gonna try and cram everything that we need for the pantry challenge into this tour, so I'm not dawdling too long. We're gonna move on now to our squash. Squash is a big item that we love to grow here on the homestead. We make a lot of recipes with it, and we've been lucky that we've grown a lot this year, and we have a lot to see us through this pantry challenge, which is fantastic as far as starches and bulking out recipes really goes. Don't judge. This is an old fridge. It's been around for a long time, but we use this as our extra overstock. As you can see, it stores things like our eggs. We actually have 25 dozen eggs stockpiled for this time of year because the chickens start to lay a little less, so we need to make sure we have enough, but that's all right. We, I think, are well stocked. And by the way, these are actually silky eggs, so we do consume a few more than what you would normally consume with a regular size egg. But I think 25 dozen is still pretty good. Another thing in here, obviously you saw this in our grocery haul video, but we have our cheese, sour cream, our wonderful pickled turnips, which we love to have as snack times. I always keep my yogurt down here, and oh gosh, our carrots. We have a full drawer of carrots here and a full drawer of carrots upstairs. So hopefully that will see us through the pantry challenge. And last but not least in this one is our cheese stash. Hopefully this will see us through the 2 months that we need to go without buying cheese. I know the idea is not to stockpile things in order to do the pantry challenge, but the dairy is something that we have talked about before. We don't produce our own dairy, so we need to have that item. And the cheese was on sale actually about 3 months ago, and we bought 12. So it's actually done for 4 months, not just those 2 months. And next, we're on our way over to the store-bought pantry. We're going past the freezers. Now, we're not going to go into too much detail on this, but we still currently have 4 freezers, and they are well stocked and ready for the pantry challenge. So if you haven't been watching our freezer challenge videos, be sure to go check out those, because the idea for January 1st is to only have 3 freezers running. And another pit stop on our way to the store-bought pantry is our potato stores. So stored down here, not only do we have our eating potatoes, but also our boxes of seed potatoes. But I think we're going to be pretty set, because I'm pretty sure we've got at least 150 pounds here still of potatoes to see us through. Not just the challenge, though. Those have to make it all the way till June next year when we start seeing new stuff out of the garden. So what you're seeing here as Chris scans up, the bottom boxes are our seed potatoes, and then these top ones and these here are all potatoes for eating. But one thing I've noticed as I came down here and opened these up just for this tour is, because it's been so warm, they're already going leggy. So we need to get down here and really take these off, or these potatoes are not going to keep. So this section here, other than storage for cooking, what do you call these? Utensils, I guess you could call it, pots, things like that, is mostly our spices. We're really well stocked on those. Onion powders, chili powders, things like that. I've got all the stuff for making curries so that we can keep going hard throughout the challenge. Spices, baking goods, things like that are something that we always stockpile. We usually have at least 6 months worth all the time in the pantry. And one thing that's really benefited us on is the fact that the prices have gone crazy in the last year. When we went to do that grocery haul and to stockpile a few items that we'd kind of let dwindle down because of pricing, it was a real eye-opener that we maybe should have been taking advantage of some more sales, even though they didn't seem like sales at the time. So that's something moving forward. We're still going to be watching for those real discounts on the items that we use all the time, because just because we're in a pantry challenge, it doesn't make sense to pass up the opportunity to save a buck.
And the other thing that teaches us or makes us think about is, granted, not everything in these stores are things that we can grow, but if we can grow them, there might be a little more push in the next few years to figure that out, to keep this stocked.
And the one thing I will say on what Chris just mentioned, if you're interested in following that journey, you need to be subscribed to our Hickory Croft Farm channel, because that's where we talk about all the gardening and all our plans for the future on the homestead in that sense, not just the pantry stuff. So just putting that little plug in there. On to finishing our pantry tour. So this section behind me is really a section you just saw in the grocery haul video. We had a few pockets. We managed to fill those pockets, but not a lot has really changed because these are items that we just always have. We managed to refill and stock all of our sugar containers with all that cane sugar that you saw us buy. These containers are great for storing that, especially down here where it can sometimes get a little damp. Trail mix goodies, we've got lots. Like I said, baking stuff like chocolate chips, cornstarch, baking powder, all that. Molasses, mustard, our mayo finally got stocked up. The spices are something I'm not going to talk a whole lot about in this particular tour because believe me, we have a lot. But the one thing we have not done is organize it well. They are scattered upstairs, downstairs, in the pantry, over sitting on a corner table. It's wherever they landed after we dried them and jarred them. So that's a video that I want to kind of do up in the coming here, is organizing our spice and dried good rack upstairs, which also includes all of our beans and things like that that we grew in the garden. Vinegar, lemon juice, sesame oils, balsamic vinegars, cheap curry paste that we managed to get at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, $1.25. It was a fantastic deal. These are regular like $3.95 for us. Vegetable oils, coconut. This is all chocolate chips, condensed milk, all that sort of stuff for baking. And we can't forget about the quinoa. See, I remembered how to say it. Thank you everybody for correcting me because I had no clue. Never had eaten this stuff before. I'm really excited to cook with it. So hopefully I can figure out how to do that well and not have it be a disaster. Our homegrown popcorn. This is something we're really excited to experiment with using. We're actually going to be trying some more experiments with using this as flour. What we do is we pop it into popcorn and then grind it up to be flour for pancakes and things like that. So definitely watch for that in the upcoming Pantry Challenge videos because it's been a fun experiment, but it's also tricky to try and figure out the recipes when you're using something like a popcorn flour. So we have our olive oil all stocked back up after that grocery haul. So we've got our 12 jars of that. Got a lot of fish sauce. I am a little disappointed because we did not get to our local honey to get more honey. So we only have 2 jars to see us through, which might be a little tight since we like to put that in our tea and things like that. But we'll see how we do. Worst case scenario, we'll be breaking down and buying sometime in February. Mung beans. This is something that we're looking forward to doing. Sprouting some mung beans for things to cook the upcoming months, really, because that's going to give us some nice fresh food when we don't have a lot of fresh food really on hand. We have lots of oats. I'm very pleased with our oat stash. It's really handy for granolas and even cereals in the morning. Lamb broth. This isn't store-bought, but it has moved over here because as we've gotten rid of our stockpiles of flour, it's been replaced with items we actually do make here on the homestead. This whole shelf here is basically rice products and beans. We have a lot of rice pastas and noodles. We actually have 6 whole bags of basmati rice, plus some brown rice, black rice, a lot of lentils, beans, a few bags of corn flour, all sorts of things because we like to mix and change things up every now and then. And really, we're finishing this off with a lot of homegrown product. These 2 shelves here are all of our apple juice that we actually pressed right here on the homestead from apples that are in our orchard. And I think we're down to about 98 jars, but that should still see us through quite well. So guys, that is it. That is pretty much everything. I know we didn't go into a lot of detail and depth, but I just wanted to kind of do a glance over of everything so you could see how full stuff was before we started this pantry challenge. We are attempting to go the 2 months with only buying milk. That's it. I hopefully won't even have to buy cheese. I'm just going to buy milk and make yogurt and maybe some soft cheeses. And then we'll see where we're at. I really would like to make a dent on some of this because every year we replenish it from the garden. So I think we're going to be good. What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. Tell me what you've got planned for the challenge this year because I look forward to hearing everybody's adventures over the next 2 months.
I'm going to interject here for a moment because I think after going through this and filming everything, I think we are going to have to break down and get some honey because as Stephanie said, we just didn't get to our local producer to get it. And that was just a function of time. It was on the agenda. It just didn't happen over the holidays. So that may be our little splurge for maybe 2 jars, maybe 3 if we make some cough syrup stuff out of it. But that's the one thing I think we're going to have to get.